Good morning, everybody. So, it's Tuesday. Had a good day yesterday. Hope you guys all did as well. Um, as far as the group and everything that's going on, we got some fun stuff to talk about this morning. So, excuse me. Conversation wise, good morning, Christy. Everything is going great, you guys. Yes, there are still going to be those conversations that feel tense and feel um, I don't want to use the word aggressive, but they just feel like they're a little bit more heated, I guess. But I think that's always going to be the case. So I hope you guys are getting more comfortable with each other. And I can see the way you guys are interacting is great, right? Good morning, Billy. Good morning, Carrie. Good morning, Nicole. Um, so I don't really have much to say on the group other than you guys constantly amaze me. It's awesome. You guys are really understanding and learning from each other. So, that being said, though, there's something we would like to offer. Now, I don't know how we're going to do it yet, but we have got some things in that we would like to give you guys the opportunity to purchase. So, it's these, actually. What do you guys think? I hope you like them. So, we're going to sell them in pairs, just like what you see on my wrist, a black one and a white one. And I have a limited number of them for right now. So I don't know exactly how we're going to do it yet. We're going to figure that out when I get off of here. So if it's something you guys are interested in, we're going to put up a post and let you know how you guys can get some, if that's something you want. And it's going to be, I think, $6 is what we're talking. So, and we'll have that all set up for you guys today at some point. Good morning, Kevin. Um, so that'll be fun. That's just the first thing that we have. And um, we started that, well, I think like 2 weeks ago. It took forever for them to get here. So we kind of anticipated it being here a whole lot sooner, but that's okay. They showed up yesterday. So now we're going to figure out how to get them to you guys. Okay, so what I wanted to talk about this morning, though, was changing your perception. And this topic, it doesn't seem like a big deal, right? But our perception matters with everything, you guys. Everything we do is based on our perception, your individual perception of the things happening around you. So what's the benefit of changing your perception? Well, if your perception is negative or less than positive, you you can trap yourself into a set of emotions that maybe you maybe aren't good for you, right? Like, if something happens at work and your perception is that that person's an asshole because they said something, right? Then and you're automatic on the defense, right? So changing your perception to something more positive and more powerful when you interact with people, changing the perception of your life, right? I think one of the one of the strongest changes of perception I've ever had, excuse me, is one of the I am affirmations I used to do all the time is I am abundance. And one day I got to thinking about it. I got to thinking back on my life and really looking at it from a different perception, a different angle. And my whole life, I've always been abundant. I've always had food to eat. I mean, I'm still alive, right? So obviously I haven't starved to death. I've survived all the things that I've been through. I've always had a roof over my head or a friend's couch to crash on or whatever. So I started to realize that, just because I didn't have everything I wanted, I've always had everything that I needed. So that changed my perception about abundance, right? And all of a sudden I realized that I literally already am abundant. I've always had all these things my whole life. And that perception has allowed me to move forward in my life with a whole new sense of like, I don't have to worry about those things, right? So those things are no longer there. And so it's this Nicole just said it is a freeing feeling when you open your mind and you are more positive. Yes, and it is a freeing feeling when you change a perception about, a lot of us feel like we're lacking, and when that perception changes, all of a sudden you realize that you're not lacking, you're not missing out, you have everything that you need and more. Um, and all of a sudden you begin to feel like a whole new person, right? And then your interactions with people change, the impact you have on people change. So locking yourself into a perception and not being open-minded or not looking at it from a different angle can be detrimental to your life. So this is that point where I'm going to encourage all of you to challenge your perceptions, challenge the perceptions of your life. Are you really lacking? Are you really going without? And these things, it doesn't mean we eat steak every night, right? But a lot of us have always had all the things that we needed. Now, that doesn't mean you have all the things that you wanted. Wants and needs are a very different thing. But so this is, I want you guys to look at your perceptions around needs, not wants, and challenge what you're seeing and what you're thinking, and be willing to look into it a little deeper. You know, even even people I know, like I have a very good friend who in high school he was homeless, literally living under a bridge and crashing on people's, on his friends' couches until their parents were like, "You got to go." Showering in the gym locker room, still going to school. Like, I didn't know him then, but I know him now, and I've heard the stories. And he even says, he's like, even when I was sleeping under the bridge, I always had everything I needed. You know, it's all about perception, you guys. You can look at something as a negative and it will be a negative. You can look at something as a positive and it will be a positive. Just like when I said the other day that change is always an opportunity to grow. So some people look at change as scary and and they're afraid of it. But if you look at it as an opportunity to grow, then all of a sudden it's not so scary anymore. This is true in so many different ways, you guys. So this is part of the reason why, it's a big part of the reason why I challenge you guys all the time to change the words in your head, right? Our thoughts dictate our emotions dictate our actions, and so on and so on and so on. So being open to changing your thoughts and looking at things from a positive perspective will allow you a level of freedom in your life that you have never seen before. So I want to encourage all of you to start trying to find the positive. And I'm going to give you a very, very powerful example of this in my own life. Most of you guys know that 6 years ago, I was hurt pretty bad. I had an L4, L5 fracture in my lower back that should have paralyzed me for the rest of my life. Now, at the time, it was horrible. I mean, I was in the middle of a divorce when it happened. My kids' mom ended up leaving. And so I had 3 kids by myself for the first time ever. And I couldn't work and I couldn't provide. And I was losing everything. And honestly, looking back on it, like at the time, it was the worst thing I've ever been through. Like I did not know how to overcome. I did not see a way out. You guys want to know why I care so much about mental health and suicide and things like that? Because I've been there. I sat at a table with a loaded gun sitting in front of me, and I didn't see a way out. And I was always somebody that thought that people who committed suicide were cowards and they were weak. And that moment when I was there, finally, it changed my perspective, because I realized it's not, they're neither of those things. And that's why I encourage you guys to reach out to people. That's why I encourage you guys to lift people up, because there's a few things that when you experience them, it changes your life. Um, I'll answer that question in a minute, Lewis. But at the time, I was lost. Okay. I had no way out. I didn't know how to move forward. I didn't see a path forward. Everything was gone. I was married for 15 years and it was gone. Right. And I was devastated by that, because even though I probably should have seen it coming, I didn't see it coming. And then to lose my ability to provide, to be 33 years old and sitting on the couch and piss myself because I couldn't feel it, right? The nerve damage and everything. I couldn't feel that I even had to go to the bathroom. To have my 13-year-old daughter have to pick me up every morning and help me stand up because I couldn't stand on my own. And this happened. This went on for months and months and months. It was humiliating, and I was embarrassed by it. And I didn't know, and I didn't want to do it. I didn't know how to get out. But the point I want to make, and the reason I'm telling you all this stuff isn't for the emotional reaction that I'm sure some of you are having. It's to tell you that I look back on breaking my back now as the greatest blessing of my life. It changed everything. And so much positive came out of it. So much amazing things came out of it. My relationship with my children is better. I'm a better dad because I was a traveling pipe fitter. Like, I traveled for work. I probably spent 4 out of the last 5 years I was married on the road, right? And I knew my kids, but I hardly knew them. I'd come in town on a weekend. We'd go and we'd live it up for the weekend. We'd go to water parks. We'd spend too much money. We'd buy everything on their Christmas list. We'd do all that stuff, right? And then I'd be gone again. But now I have an amazing relationship with my children, and I wouldn't trade that for anything. I would literally break my back 1,000 more times for the react or for all the positive that came out of it, right? Like, I'd go through it again and again and again without any hesitation to have what I have now. But in that moment, I couldn't see it. Couldn't see it at all. All I saw was the darkness around me. And Lewis asked what ended up stopping me. I got mad. The truth is I got mad. Um, and I made a decision. And that decision was that I was not going to be defined by the things that happened to me in my life. I'm a prideful person. Okay. It's one of my flaws, but it's also a powerful tool if used correctly. And my pride kicked in, and I wasn't going to be somebody that people looked at and said, wow, he had this happened to him, so that's why. And I wasn't going to check out on my life. I wasn't going to, and I remember getting mad and looking up to God and saying, if that's all you got, that's not enough. Because, like, I'm not going to quit. And you know what? I started fighting back. I started fighting my mind. I started fighting the thoughts in my head. And you know what? It didn't get better. It only got worse, you guys. Period. It only got worse. But I stayed true to the fact that I did not want my life to be defined by the things that had happened to me. This is where I started to realize that you are not the things that have happened to you. And I also didn't want my kids' life to be defined by the things that we had gone through. There is nothing more humbling or more heartbreaking than watching your young child. Like, my youngest son saw me one day when my legs gave out and I hit the floor and I couldn't get myself back up. And I was in so much pain that, I had tears running down my face. And it's not like I was crying. It was just everything was coming out of me. And my ex-wife, who I'm in the middle of a divorce with, had to come and help me off the ground, had to help pick me up. And my son sees me like this. And to my children, and especially him at that age, I was like Superman. And for him to realize that daddy was hurt and to see the look on his face as that image of me got shattered was horrible. As difficult as it was simply the fact that I changed my perspective of it over time. I fought every single day. When I say I want you guys to be a little better today than you were yesterday, this is how I got back. This is how I rebuilt myself. This is how I went from a guy ready to kill himself to the man that you see standing in front of you today, encouraging all of you to be a little better, because every day I tried to do something a little better. And like the first day I stood up without help. I can't even tell you how much of a victory that was for me. Um, the first day I was able to go to Walmart and walk into the store and pick up some food, just a couple of little things. I couldn't go shopping for a very long time because there was a limited amount of time that I could hold myself up. And the first time that I was able to do that, get the few things that we needed, get back to the car, and not have to stop, not have to stand there next to the cart shaking. Um, That was a huge victory. When I think about where I started this path, where and what I had to go through, what my children had to go through, and I apply it to where I am now, and looking back, I am truly humbled by the power of simply choosing to be a little bit better today, to do something a little bit more. It is not easy, but I want you guys to know that it's worth it. And I see lots of messages in my inbox, and you guys, and there are people that are struggling in similar ways to me, that have been through similar things to me, and that are struggling with things that are totally different than what I had to go through. But when I tell you to be a little better today than you were yesterday, it's about changing your perspective. When I tell you to do I am affirmations, one of my I am affirmations was I am strong. And that affirmation was about my body, like literally about my body. I am whole. It wasn't about, it was an internal statement, but it was also an external statement. Like I was so determined, you guys. Like I went to pool therapy. I could hardly walk. I couldn't control when I had to go to the bathroom, which is humiliating, especially when you're 33 years old. But I could swim, right? So I would go to. I was with a physical therapist that I spent a year, twice a week in a pool for 2 hours a day, swimming, building muscle, retraining my legs how to work, right? Because even to this day, what a lot of people don't know is I don't feel everything that everybody else does. I still have spots in my legs that don't work. I still have days where my left leg, especially, will just give out, right? And I got to catch myself. So if we ever hang out and I just fall and hit the floor, it's because I put all my weight on my left leg and it went numb. So now you guys know, and it might be funny now, but it's funny now only because it doesn't hurt half as much as it used to. But you guys, you can overcome. But I'm telling you, it has to come from within. You have to fight. You have to fight. You have to strive to be better. And for those of you that aren't going through things that are that catastrophic, like, look, I've told you guys before, I'm a special kind of stubborn, and this is how, God had to humble me in order to wake me up. And not all of you have to go through that, thank God, right? Like, but the same rules apply. If you strive to be a little bit better every day, you guys, I was in that position a little over like 6.5 years ago. This is the end of 2014. Okay. Or so I guess about 6 years ago. I broke my back at the end or September of 2014. So you guys, I'm telling you right now, that's what, 6 years? I have no idea all the steps I had to take to get here now looking back. They say hindsight's 2020. The best decision I ever made in that whole situation was refusing to be defined by the things that happened to me. So change your perspective on the situations that you're in your life. Sometimes the hardest things we go through are our greatest blessings. They're the things that are going to build us to be the person that we need to be not only for ourselves but for the world. So I love you guys, and I also got to tell you, never in a million years did I think I would share all of that with everyone. Um, but there you go. That's part of how I got to here. And it was because I was willing to challenge what I knew. I refused to be the things that have happened to me. I am more than that. You are more than your situation. You are more than the things that you have been through. All of you are limitless. Every one of you. None of you are broken. It just takes time, and you have to have faith, and you have to work at it every single day. And I'm telling you, build yourself up. Do the I am affirmations, and be a little bit better today than you were yesterday, you guys. Build each other up. Have the tough talks. Have the tough talks with yourself. All right. I love you guys. I'm going to jump off here, and I will see you guys in the comment threads. So we've got a lot of stuff done on the back end. Let me know what you think of the bracelets if you want some. And so now that some of the back end stuff's starting to wrap up here soon, you're probably going to see me a lot more in the comment threads and things like that. So sorry I haven't been around that much, but we've been working on other things. So anyways, again, I love you. Be a little better today than you were yesterday. Build yourself up. I'll talk to you guys later. Oh, almost forgot. I'd get yelled at if I didn't tell you guys this. John and I are doing a show later tonight. It's going to be a live Q&A between John and I, or with John and I, so you guys can ask questions to me and to John. And I think we're planning on 3:30 my time, and right now that's Mountain Time, 3:30 Mountain Time. So hopefully you guys can be there and tune in, and get your questions ready. Let's have some fun and get to know each other a little bit more as we move forward. So, yeah, like I said, about 3:30 our time. I love you guys. Have an amazing day.